Welcome to another session of EcoHour. Today we have with us Ecopreneurs, women Ecopreneurs, to celebrate the World Women's Week that we have. So we have Tejashree.
Hello.
And Annie.
Hi.
So Tejashree and Annie run an eco venture, and so Tejashree and Annie, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Could you please tell us about your venture?
Sure. So our venture is called AstuEco. We are in the field of replacing disposable plastics with alternates that are sustainable, and we could do it for a long time. We have products that are mostly focused on tableware and food packaging.
I see.
And as part of our venture, we also run a series to educate people on. You want me to?
No, please explain. So basically it's about helping people go plastic free or providing alternatives to plastics.
Right.
So can you share with us a little bit about when did it all start? What triggered you to get into this venture?
Sure. Actually, it's been a year of hard work, but the point at which we started this activity was when we start seeing, we stay in Bangalore, India, where we started noticing a lot of garbage dump in all the important parts of the city, and we felt there was an urgent need to address the plastic problem. We can't be armchair environmentalists and sit and wonder what's going to happen to our city. We felt the need to do something about it, and that's why we said, okay, let's start looking at what are the alternatives available. Why are people choosing plastic? Are they even aware that there is a problem?
Right.
And if there is a problem, then how can we suggest alternatives for them and be a channel through which they can, even buy some of the products.
Right.
So that's how our venture started.
Okay. And just for our viewers, what's your to understand, what's your background, as in what are you trained in, and how does it relate? Does it have any relation? Not that every ecopreneur has to do something that relates to their own domain, but just out of interest.
Sure. I'm an engineer by background, and I did my master's in business administration, and that's where I met Annie as well. And post that, I was outside the country working for different companies. And then when I relocated to India, I started observing the challenges that Indians face, and I as a citizen, face, and not many people are accountable for the problems that we have. And that is the reason we started doing something that we felt was needed for our city, for our country, to kind of see a different kind of life going forward.
Fantastic. And Annie, what's your background?
I've always been an adventure sports lover.
Okay.
So I've been very close to nature for the longest that I can remember.
Yes.
And with very intense different kinds of sports where we're thrown into nature for a long number of days.
Right.
And during the course of that, you get to see how beautiful nature is and how we callously don't bother about what we're doing to our nature.
Sure.
And that started quite some time back after we finished with our college.
Right.
And post that I went to New Zealand and was there for a couple of years. And it's a stark difference, the countries and how they keep their countries, how proud they are about. In India, the culture is my house, inside is neat, but outside it needn't be the same. So you're okay to just throw things out. It's not like that elsewhere. So when I came back, I started a couple of ventures, which was again into adventure sports and working with children and young adults in life skills. But during the course, it was always there in my head that I had to get back into doing something about environment. And then I met TJ, and we did a lot of brainstorming and research, and we figured this is what we want to do.
Okay.
Provide alternates for disposable plastics.
Yes, that's great, because it's very common. I find that especially when you get into this type of environment interest, through sports and things, you get to very intimately understand and appreciate, and therefore then you're triggered to take on these type of ventures. And of course, doing an eco venture itself, a new startup itself is an adventure of its own. So you're quite suited for that. So the next question I would like to, a bit interested in knowing is, so where in the journey or development phase would you say your eco venture is? Is it at a very early start, or it's where about are you getting customer traction? Where in the phase, any new venture goes through a development phase, starting with an idea, having a proof of concept, starting some early adopters interest, and then scaling. So where would you say you're?
So we definitely in the early adopter stage. We've got a lot of good customers who are repeatedly coming back to us.
Fantastic.
But the kind of products that we deal with, we need to look at the manufacturing process and the supply chain process.
Right.
And currently that's where we're looking at. So if we can improve that, then there's more scope for scaling up.
Okay.
So that's
great. So yeah, because talking to them, what I understood is before this show, I was having a chat with them that basically when they get all your orders, they actually find that what becomes a bottleneck is the supplying of the raw material itself, and also the delivery from the manufacturing end. So that once that improves, then you can take on more orders.
Right.
So that's a very nice way to look at when you have some problems with your customer traction. It could be anywhere, and it's good to look into your supply chain and see where the bottlenecks are as a starting point, and then fix that, and then still if you want to scale up, then you look at other things. So that's good to know.
I'd like to share one more point.
Yeah, please.
So usually when we talk about anything that's related to environment and doing good, there is this apprehension and misunderstanding that not most people are supportive of it, or they don't know what to do.
Yes.
But I think we've been quite lucky because we do meet a lot of people who are really interested in making a change.
Right.
And there are certain places where they have a challenge in terms of finding the right kind of maybe
alternatives.
What is it that they can do? It
Yes.
may only be in the space of plastics, but
Sure.
anything related to environment. But there's definitely a lot of change as it was maybe 15 years ago. In terms of being more conscious of the environment and what is the impact that they are doing.
Right.
But still we have a lot of work
I
to do.
agree.
Which is why we have what we call the EcoBeat series, where we regularly send out awareness information to people about how they can make a difference to the environment with simple tips and tricks.
Fantastic. How can people access your EcoBeats?
They subscribe to our YouTube channel and it's called EcoBeat, ECOBEAT.
Great, EcoBeat, that's right. Okay, fantastic. One more question, as part of any Ecopreneur's journey, what have been your main challenges, would you say? And say top 2 or 3 challenges, and how did you overcome them?
So the main challenge that we have had is of the supply chain, like Annie has already pointed out, and that is the problem that we are working on fixing right now.
But in the early phase, maybe in the beginning, still you got your first customer. What was the main challenge you faced?
So I think pricing is the second challenge that we have faced, because alternatives to plastic are not as reasonable as plastics themselves, which makes it a very business decision for any of the people that we meet, and they say, we don't have the budget to make this choice. So they have to rework their budgets, and so it takes more than a mindset to kind of move to our product. It takes mindset as well as monies for them to be able to make that decision. So I think that has been one of the challenges that we have faced.
And what did you do to overcome? Because you are getting good customers. So what was your experience in your? That means you're still pricing it right. I hope. You don't want to lose out on.
So what we did was we started approaching companies which were ready with both these aspects. They had the mindset, they had the monies, they had the budget to kind of look at it. So we started approaching them, and once you have one person kind of moving in that direction, you can then beat up the drums and say, we have this person, why don't you consider it?
Basically, we had a very clear target segment, is what she's saying. So it's not that this cause is so big that everybody should buy, but there are only some people who are ready, like you were talking about early adopters. So we had to find those early adopters, and I think that's something that we should continue to pursue.
So that's very true. So this is a common problem with all ecopreneurial ventures, is that they have to understand that there is something called early adopter segment is what you target in the initial phase. But the main problem that everyone faces is that once you've done that, to move to the early majority is what they are called. There's a big, what they call as chasm, a big valley to cross. And if you can't cross that valley, then that's what they call the valley of death. That most of them then die if you have not, because what that requires is changing the way you look at your business so far up to the point of early adopters. And then you can, because the early majority takes a very different way of looking at your business and different approach. And that's what, something that you will learn through your journey.
Right.
And congratulations on making it this far,
Thank you.
because it takes a lot of commitment, a
Sure.
lot of grit.
Yes.
And I can see both of you have got that in you. So thank you very much for sharing your journey, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on EcoHour.
Sure.
Well, hi there, I'm Niveda. I'm the CEO and founder of TrashCon Waste Management, and we at TrashCon create disruptive innovation in the field of waste management. So we seek to create innovation by actually solving a very crucial problem. And when you look at waste management as a whole, the crux of the entire crisis lies down on one rooted problem, and that is waste segregation. Across the world, waste segregation has been very minimal due to no or minimal intervention of technology, especially in the developing countries. So we have built the first ever, one of its kind, automated municipal solid waste segregator. So what a machine essentially does is it basically takes all the waste that we generally have in our houses and segregate it into biodegradables, non-biodegradables, metals, and rejects to an output efficiency of more than 98%. And we're looking at tons of waste per hour, so it can almost instantly segregate any mixed waste that we feed into it. Well, we have a 5-ton machine and a 500 kg per day machine currently with us, which we have tested and tried. We are also we also have the capability to produce 500 kgs, 2 tons, 5 tons, and 10 tons. But we do not wish to overseed more than 10 tons, basically because TrashCon believes in decentralized waste management, and we wish to position our machines of Trashbots at various nodal centers in different wards across the cities, or for basically corporates or huge campuses. So yeah, the maximum we offered is 10 tons and the minimum that we can go up to is 500 kgs. We are also open for customization if it is required. So we also come up with a very good design proficiency, so we are looking for that. And these machines are generally operated at a 10 hour per day basis with a 5 hour plus 5 hour shift. So and the machine requires one operator only for the whole day for the entire waste handling. When we are looking at customer segments, we have two broad segments. One is the public sector and another is the private sector. When it comes to the private sectors, we have apartment complexes of not less than 1,000 houses, commercial plazas, which are basically malls, IT campuses, residential areas, which are basically a number of individual houses put together. We also have huge institutions or corporate houses, wherein they generate more than 500 kgs or 1 ton of waste. And by large, in the public sector, we are looking at municipalities, wherein these machines could be placed in different nodal centers across the cities. Apart from these, we are also looking at various 2-tier, 3-tier cities for expansion of and for placing these machines. So yeah, that's part of segments. We are looking for two different models. One is sale and another is lease. So we lease the machines to apartments with less than 3,000 or 2,500 houses, and for apartments with more than 2,500 houses, we generally sell the machines. And for the rest of the segments, we generally sell the machines. It can also be on a EMI basis, wherein they pay a certain amount of money per month until they finish with the complete compensation. When it comes to customer traction, we have developed a lot of customer traction across India. I mean, we have inquiries or leads from as far as Gujarat, Delhi, Gurgaon, Chennai, and of course Karnataka. But we have not yet placed any orders because we wish to develop the machine and make sure that the safety parameters are in place where we are currently. So we are still there in the last 2% of stage left, wherein we have to finish off with the entire safety precautions, making the machine more user friendly. So any innovation cannot actually just come into the market without these finishing up parameters. So we are currently working on that. Nevertheless, we have the sales cycle set for the next 6 months because we have very interested customers. They are mainly from the corporate sectors, which are basically institutions and corporate houses, and these are the areas that we are targeting as well. Challenges, I think we have an n number of them every day, but to name two of them, I think the first one would be to create an ecosystem. As a startup with an innovation, any innovation comes with a resistance, so you need to actually go ahead and actually build an ecosystem which can help your product thrive in the market, and that is quite a challenge because you need to change the mentality from a conventional system to make them accept, yes, this is possible, yes, the kind of ways that we are generating has some value, and you need to come up with credible results. It has been a long struggle, and we are almost there and have some concrete partners who can take up our biodegradables and non-biodegradables. Secondly, we face enough challenges when it comes to design of the machine, because imagine you have a very known precursor, say so many kgs of such size materials, and still to design a system which can process it is a huge task. The kind of precursor that we are dealing with is waste, which has absolutely no stable composition. It varies from not just every day, it varies from one batch to the next. So with such a dynamic composition of your feed, it becomes almost next to impossible to come up with a very concrete design. And that took us a very long time. Although we had our first small mechanism built way back last year, I think we had to build around 2 to 3 machines to just understand the material that we are dealing with, and we had to do a lot of pivots, a lot of learning from each of our mistakes. And you could sometimes, even though you have hundreds of problems solved, you have 100 more which are unforeseen by your discretion. So this is a very big problem that we faced till now. Challenges are again the lack of enough infrastructure to support the waste that is being output. Because if you look at the kind of waste that we are generating, it's basically biodegradables, which goes into composting and biogas units, and the non-biodegradables, which are generally made into fuel in, say, a pyrolysis or a hydropyrolysis plant, in the wood composite industry, or in the road construction industry, all of which are at a very nascent stage, and they have not been thriving as well as the recycling industry because of the huge balance towards the conventional kind of segregation. So it will take us some time to help to boost this entire ecosystem, and definitely change the mentality. Apart from this, I think it is also the safety considerations when it comes to the machine. We have to make sure that it is dynamic and robust enough to run for 10 hours per day without any break, because waste as such cannot be piled up even for a day. So these are some challenges that we might face and which we are facing currently.